All right, welcome back to Chapter Athletic, where we're yapping about the news, art and science of running and fitness culture. So I'm Darcy, I work in a running rehab clinic and I'm a huge shoe nerd.
I'm Zoe, a fitness enthusiast and running content creator.
And I'm Laz, I'm also a huge shoe nerd and also a running enthusiast and a filmmaker.
So today we've got a lot in store for you. We're talking about the recent marathons in southeast Queensland, Gold Coast and Sunny Coast. We're de-influencing the demonisation of heel striking, talking about barefoot running, barefoot shoes, and answering your questions about how men and women differ when it comes to endurance training.
Awesome. And so we always like to kick things off with a fun little game where we go back and forth with our answers and it gets a bit silly. So this week's question of the week is, what is the Strava DM that you would send your crush? So
this is
diabolical.
I have gone really... Just as a caveat, this is not how I would ever talk to someone.
No.
This
is unhinged. This is not.
This is the unhinged version.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. Let's see what you've got then. All right, Laz, do you want to kick us off?
Okay. I feel uncomfortable saying this. This is how bad.
Okay, safe space.
It's going to get worse.
Safe space.
Hey girl, I can make you walk weirder than one day post-marathon. Let's chat.
Hey girl, you remind me of a Nike Vaporfly because you're really hot and really unstable.
I love how you both gone for the hey girls. This is your thing.
It just feels right. We're older.
It does.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go for it as well. Hey girl, call me Miles because I want you to complete me.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit nicer.
we can cut some out.
It's gonna get worse as I go on. Anyway, you must be absolutely exhausted from racking up PBs in my internal Hottie of the Year contest.
Nice.
I like that.
That was smooth.
I think that's funny.
All right. Hey girl, nice job stealing that Strava crown. Maybe next time you can steal my heart.
Oh yeah, that's disgusting.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
You're my favourite Strava segment. Short, fast, and I keep coming back for more.
Okay, we're cooking now. If you were a 5K time, you'd be 13 minutes flat. Almost unattainable. Can't stop thinking about you and every guy wants you.
Hey girl, are you a 1 kilometre time trial? Because I'd love to do you for 3 minutes, get a cramp, and then maybe cry a little.
Oh my God. Okay, it's getting worse. This is good.
Hey girl, your local legend status isn't the only thing I want to make mine.
Nice. This is a short one. Hey girl, I'd take an actual rest day for you.
God, that's how you know it's real.
Yeah.
Hey girl, are you a marathon training block? Because I want to be obsessed with you for 12 weeks and then never talk to you again.
That's my favourite. Oh, you need to do that one.
Have you got one?
Hey girl, you remind me of a double run day because I'd love to do you in the morning and then again in the afternoon.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Have you got another one?
You go. I have. They're not as good.
Okay.
Oh, you go.
I'm a simple man. I see your interval session on Strava and want to beat it, and then take you to dinner and show you what a real winner looks like.
Okay.
Wow.
This one's a nice one. Hey girl, you remind me of a sunrise during a long run because you're really pretty and I'd like to spend the morning with you.
Aww. That's very nice.
That's so lovely.
That would probably actually work.
Okay. Hey girl, you're hotter than my quads after 400-meter repeats.
Okay, this is my last one. This isn't really a pickup line as such because it works against me, but I feel like it's funny. So,
Yeah.
hey girl. I don't know why I said that in a really feminine way. Like, hey girl. Hey girl, I'm like a new pair of shoes. At first I smell great and full of mystery and intrigue and endless possibilities. Give me a month though and you'll hate me and blame me for all your failures.
Hey girl, you remind me of my favourite pair of running shoes. Thick in the back and thin in the middle.
So on brand
Yeah.
for Darcy. So on brand.
He does love
Beautiful.
A.
I think that
Okay.
wraps us
I think
up.
that's good.
Are we
That's
good?
good.
Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Some solid ones.
Send all complaints to hello@darcydoor.com.
Now we're launching into running headlines. This is the segment where we share news, current events, accomplishments, and any recent scandals across Australia and the world. And this time, we're keeping it very local. So there's a couple things I'd like to discuss, which I'll briefly touch on, and then we can go into them in more detail. So there was obviously very recently the Gold Coast Marathon weekend,
Yes.
very close to home, which held record-breaking performances. And then the other thing I wanted to discuss is, again, close to home, Toowoomba, Queensland, is pushing for a Olympic standard track.
Yes.
So let's kind of deep dive into the Gold Coast Marathon. And the 2025 Gold Coast Marathon, just gone, was an incredible example of some of the best of Australian running, really. To just set the scene and list off some of the accomplishments. Tejas Yamer triumphed in her full marathon debut. She's in the 18 to 24 category, so obviously super young. It's her first marathon, and she took the win with a time of 2:29:27, which is just incredible. The next, the second woman was, I think, in the 45 to 50, the next about 45 to 50 category, which is just, she's
Impressive in
so
a different way.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not normal that kind of marathon runners are young. Like it's more of an older person sport because
Yeah.
Historically, yeah.
Yeah, and really, that was really interesting. And then, I think everyone knows about the Gold Coast Double. If you don't know about the Gold Coast Double, it's when you do the half marathon the day before and then the full marathon on this Sunday.
Why would you ever do that?
Well, my friends did it for some crazy reason.
Would you do it?
I'm thinking about doing it next year.
Really?
I reckon it could be
You're
fun.
sick.
Yeah,
You're
it's-
actually
You
sick.
don't have to sort of train so hard for one race. It's split up, a bit of a fun weekend.
Wouldn't you feel like
It
you're
is
not giving it
crazy.
the full?
You
Yeah.
are, but so there's a whole different category for the Gold Coast
Right.
Double, and the winner, which was what I wanted to touch on, the winner took a time of 3:48:49, and that's their half marathon and full marathon
Total?
total. And you do get 3 medals, so you get your half, your full, and then you get a 63.3.
I'm just doing the maths in my head. That's a rapid.
It's so rapid.
Incredible. So that was Maurice Kelter. So amazing
what
result.
times do you know? Would you run?
I'd have to look it
Not
up,
sure.
but 3:48 combined. Like that's something that's a lot of people can't even run a marathon at.
Yeah.
So incredible stuff. And it's something that's very special to the Gold Coast Marathon, which I just wanted to touch on. There was also other achievements. Andy Buchanan smashed a 33-year-old half marathon record with 1:01:08 time, which is just incredible. For the full marathon, there was over 15,000 runners and 39,000 across all of the events that were held that weekend. So a record-breaking Gold Coast marathon weekend, which was just incredible.
The participation levels are out of control. It's
Oh.
so good.
Yeah, I know,
So
and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down.
No.
And you had a good weekend too, Zoe. Congratulations
Yeah.
on your
What
first
did you-
marathon.
What did you
second marathon.
do?
Thank you. I got, by chip time, it was 3:31, but I just had the most fun experience and the most fun time ever. Obviously it hurt in the last 2 kilometers, but I was running with friends and barking at friends passing by. The classic bark. Just had so much fun, and it was just such a great experience. It was like everything that the marathon should be, I feel like.
How did you feel at that 32-kilometer mark?
32 was fine. It wasn't until like 40 kilometers I was like, okay, cool, now I'm like really pushing, and my pace slowed down a bit, but I was pretty consistent pace wise.
What shoes did you wear?
Pro 4s, which really, I want to love them. I really want to love them, but they do mess up the back of my heel and cut it
Do you
up.
still got blisters and stuff?
Yeah.
The
I love them.
Adios Pro 4.
Yeah.
Adidas, yep.
Yeah, not endorphin Pro 4s.
Oh, sorry.
For those playing.
No,
at
you're
home.
right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah, Adidas Pro 4s, and I love running in them, but they're just the back of the hill just doesn't agree with me for some reason.
Yeah.
So
Same with me with
interesting.
Indian food, but you love what you love. That's all I'm saying.
But my performances aside, all these wins and obviously amazing accomplishments make Gold Coast Marathon one of the fastest marathons in the Southern Hemisphere, which is just incredible. And it's so exciting to see so many young athletes really taking the stage.
It was a pretty hot day too at the Gold Coast. In terms of the Melbourne people, I was riding my a line bike up and down to start finding the runners that I knew and running with them for a little while on the bike, and it was warm. It looked pretty chaotic at the end where people were just dropping like flies. It was warm in the sun at the end.
I would say
did well to get through.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say last year was hotter, actually, but that last strip, that last like 5Ks, that is just so exposed, and obviously it's like the hottest part, and I think that's what zaps me, because I remember it really draining me last time, and then you just see like people lying on the ground around that, and obviously I think it does kind of get in your mind a bit, because you're like, why are people just collapsed? This is not fun. So it definitely feels hard, and it's super exposed in that bit to the sun and the elements, but classic Australia, so get on with it.
Welcome to Australia.
And the Sunny Coast Marathon went really well. That was about 3 or 4 weeks after that. Andy Buchanan hit another really fast run at that. I think he did another course record, 1:02:31.
He's on a tear.
On a tear.
Good form.
So I think they've modified the Sunny Coast Marathon course to be like single lap now, a little bit flatter and a bit faster. So there was a lot of really good performances at that Sunny Coast. It was a little bit cooler, I think, as well. So I had a lot of people do really well. And I think they're gunning for that track to be potentially the Olympic course.
Yeah, I had heard rumours
Really
about
exciting.
that, which makes sense.
I hope so. Hopefully even more people start to attend that Sunny Coast. It's getting pretty big. It's getting a bigger event year on year.
Yeah,
it's a well-run event. I've got my half PB up there, and it's a bit scary because you had to. When I ran it, it was up the hill over the Millbar and then back again. So you've got these 2 pretty decent uphill kind of sections. But I don't know whether that's the new courses away from it.
From my
So
understanding.
I think one of the hills is still there, but over Alexandria Heads, is it?
Yes. Yeah. But why not?
And then
Just
there's
the
obviously City2Surf just happened this weekend gone as well.
Yes.
Weather looked questionable at some points, but obviously an amazing fun event. And that's a really unique one as well, because is it 14.5?
Something close to that.
Interesting distance, which is fun. But like really, I think there's so many sponsorships, brand sponsorships around that event and stuff. So it makes it really great weekend for everyone, which is good. So
it's so well subscribed. It just shows that running is in a very good place. Still, like post-COVID, it just seems to be getting more and more momentum.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I wanted to touch on with all these records. Mean obviously more attention for the sport and more attention for these events. It means bigger sponsorships, bigger fields, better fields, higher stakes, and better athletes. So it's putting Australian running in a really good spotlight. So really exciting to see.
It is,
particularly Southeast Queensland, which is cool.
Because we've got the best weather, so probably too hot, but
it is most of the year it is too hot, but oh well, we make do. Hey, going back to Toowoomba, what I mentioned was that Toowoomba, Queensland is pushing for an Olympic standard track, and the proposal is for the tartan track at University of Southern Queensland, and that would make up and serve as a regional training base for Brisbane 2032 build-up, which is really exciting. The limitation we currently see and why this has kind of come to light is that regional athletes often have to travel over 2 hours to get elite level facilities at the moment, because there's just not accessibility to anything of that standard in Toowoomba. Obviously, I think that they'd probably be going to either UQ track or possibly Gold Coast.
Which is crazy because it's not a small trip. So
no, exactly. And so it's so important that kind of we level the playing field for those regional athletes and provide somewhere accessible but also safe. And it would really, again, position Toowoomba as a training hub ahead of Brisbane 2032. And, you know, you already touched on the Sunny Coast was potentially being the marathon course. And I think it just kind of shows how we can create Brisbane, not just Brisbane 2032, but almost like a wider Queensland scale and show off the best of our state, which is really, really exciting. But yeah, really exciting to see that the steps in the right direction are being made to, find more athletes and make it more accessible.
I think there's plenty of talent in regional areas, and often they're just not given the ability to hone those, opportunities, because they just don't have access to the same facilities and opportunities as people that just happen to be born in those metro areas.
Exactly.
So it's pretty exciting to see that development, and the sport and the government, acknowledging the fact that we should be developing athletes in our regional areas as well. So yeah, exciting to see.
Yeah, and it's not just for athletes, it's for schools, it's for kids, it's for everyday people like us who want to have a bit of fun, and it provides somewhere that's safe. Thinking about, we have in Queensland, we have very short days, so it's dark in the morning, dark in the evening, so it's really important that we have these facilities, and especially Toowoomba, thinking about running around some of those streets, maybe not as safe as being in the city where there's lots of people everywhere, etc.
Okay, introducing our de-influencing running segment, where we deconstruct trends and myths that we see floating around social media and beyond that might be harming more than they're helping. So today we're talking about a couple of pretty persistent myths that I hear a lot in the clinic. One is that starting barefoot running is going to prevent injuries. And the second one is that heel striking is inherently bad and causes injury. So these ones sort of do relate. So I wanted to go through and today just chat about where this comes from, what the science actually says, and how you can think about what this might mean for you if you heel strike, and not to feel bad about heel striking.
Yeah, because some of us
normalize heel striking.
Let's normalize heel striking.
Make heel striking good again. Or something.
Put it on a hat.
Yeah.
So
there's an edit.
So where this really came from was 2009's Born to Run, that book that came out. So essentially what it talked about was that, in the African sub-Sahara, that people were running more and more. Obviously, that's how humans evolved into how we were today, and that all this running was done obviously barefoot and forefoot strike dominant, and that was superior in all centres, and that today, because we have modern running shoes and a lot of people do heel strike first, that's why we've got the injuries that we see, because injury rates are pretty high in running compared to other sports. That is sort of the truth.
Is heel striking good or bad?
So it's not necessarily good and not necessarily bad. So when we heel strike, we do have a relatively predictable force patterns where the forces end up. So they end up a little bit more in the shin and a little bit more in the knee.
Okay.
So what would that generally lead to in a clinical sense if someone comes to you and they've got a typical issue? Is that like shin splints or?
Yeah. I'd say shin splints and the front of the knee pain would be a couple of the common ones that we see associated with like aggressive heel striking.
Yeah.
And heel striking is not necessarily bad. It's sort of how intensely or how severely we're heel striking. So overstriding where the foot is landing a long way in front of the body, that sets us up for a poor ability to absorb impact, and that's when the shin and the knee can get overloaded. So this sort of contrasts to like forefoot striking, where someone's really trying to exaggerate that, which would happen if you put on some barefoot shoes like in Born to Run and you decided you were going to just run on your forefoot. This is just going to change where and how we load. So it's going to put a lot more pressure on the metatarsal bones in the foot, a lot more pressure on that pad, a lot more pressure on the Achilles at the back and the calf. And
so what would be some typical injuries that you would see there from that?
Yeah, literally from those ones. So calf strains, Achilles tendinopathy, and metatarsal stress fractures. They'd be a few common ones. Even some bottom of the foot pain problems like Morton's neuroma.
Morton's neuroma.
These type of ones. So no research has said yet that forefoot running or rear foot heel striking is necessarily better or worse for injuries. It just changes where the injuries happen, and I think that's the important part.
Yeah, and I guess also it kind of depends on, like, if you're doing a lot of speed work, I know that people tend to then, they might heel strike a bit more because they're kind of reaching out and doing it, as you say, about overextending. And I think I tend to do that when I'm like trying to get faster, because you're trying to increase and like pull the ground underneath you, and so that might make you more susceptible to those injuries and stuff. So actually it might not be bad in my day-to-day load, but if I suddenly up my speed sessions or like hill sessions or something like that, I then might see that kind of come through and come into effect.
That is a good point. So it's a good way to think about it that almost everyone, if they start actually sprinting in like a 100-meter sprint, is going to run mostly on their forefoot, because that's just naturally what happens when we run really, really quickly.
Yeah.
It is true that the really cushioned shoes, I think, can mask the person's ability to feel the ground, where maybe in these really maximalist shoes, if the person's not used to dealing with the ground and they don't have that feeling within themselves, that they probably can increase their impact forces by using heavy shoes and then heel striking really aggressively. So that definitely is true. I think it is important for people to be in tune with how they're feeling and not being almost lazy with the stride and relying on some of these really cushioned shoes that we do have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can fall into not having the proprioception and then not using your own natural shock absorption ability. Not using your natural shock absorption ability, and then you rely on the foam and you get really lazy and slappy and
Exactly. And there's definitely some research that's just suggesting towards the really big, thick shoes, shifting a bit of load up, and then really minimal shoes, shifting load down more towards that ankle and foot, because they do promote more of a forefoot strike.
Yeah.
So are you saying that moderation is the key?
Yes, I think having different types of shoes. Yeah.
So boring.
I really believe that everyone needs to have a really boring pair of shoes that don't have too much cushion.
Yeah.
Are we talking like Pegasus boring, or I know you love the Nova Blast 5? Like, is that?
I'd say Nova Blast 5 would be more towards the cushioned end. I'd say what you said, the Pegasus would be there. I'm thinking the Mizuno Ride as a very, very simple shoe. Something that's just not interfering with your mechanics too much. Yeah. I think
Interesting.
it's good to have that simple
Higher
shoe
drop.
in the rotation.
Does drop have anything? This could be a tangent. Does drop have any impact on heel strike?
It's a great question. So drop. So a really high drop can promote more of a like a rear foot strike, and a low drop, like a very minimal drop, can promote more of a midfoot strike, which will have the effect on loads that we talked about before. The rocker on the bottom, and then also the stiffness and firmness of the foam, can influence those things too. So the softer foams with less cushion will be more forefoot promoting and more load through the calf and Achilles, and the opposite, a heavy rockered shoe that's nice and firm will probably deload that foot and ankle and calf a little bit.
Is it pretty safe to say, I know with my own running, I've kind of swung, I thought I was a heel foot striker, and then I came and saw you, and I was actually a forefoot striker, which was confusing, but the load was too forefoot, so you wanted me to be more upright.
Rear foot curious.
Yeah, I was rear foot curious. I'm like, let's bang this heel, like, let's get it going, you know. And then I kind of went the wrong way, I think, and I overcorrected. And now I'm finding I'm strongest when I'm feeling like my foot's quite flat. So I think it's probably happy medium. Is it kind of a general rule that you should be midfoot striking as a general rule, you know?
There has to be a certain level of competence for the person in their calf and their foot. So they have to be able to be strong enough to use that calf as a spring over and over and over again without hurting it.
Is that for midfoot striking?
Yeah, for a person doing more midfoot striking. So a lot of people can do that if they're relatively competent, but not everybody can. So just naturally, some people have really dominant calves.
I am dominant. With my
they can use those
in
calves
your calves.
a lot. And
great calves.
and some
See me in a
people
dress, you'd be like, those are some good calves.
do you have an OnlyFans?
No, I could start one.
You could start one.
Purely for calf content.
I love
Only
how
calves.
we were actually joking when we were running yesterday at our run club that Darcy does live in everyone's head rent free with his little
He
cues
really
that
does,
gives,
yeah.
because he really does. When I'm like sprinting, as you say, like people, you're more likely to kind of overextend and stuff. And I'm like, oh no, remember what Darcy says. What Darcy says. But yeah, I'm glad that you find the same, because he really does.
He'd probably get some like sick kick out of it. He's like, I'm in your head. I'm in your head.
Loves it.
I feel a bit bad about it sometimes. I'm like, oh, I hope I haven't given somebody head noise.
Yeah.
So much.
No, I think it swings. Like, I don't think it's ever a static
You
thing.
swing or?
I swing. I swing a golf club. No, I'm just mean like feels are very different, like related to golf. Having a feel about something is actually very different to actually what you do. So often we'll overcorrect. So you think you're a heel striker, but then you go the other way and then you actually end up forefoot striking too much and you cook your calves.
That's a really good point, because that does happen sometimes. And just like anything, trying to change how you load has to be done really slowly.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, getting a person away from an aggressive heel strike towards like a modest heel strike is something worth doing. And then if somebody's trying to go to the next level and really improve their performance, usually trying to see if some of that running, particularly the faster running, is done through the midfoot, is generally going to be a good idea for the way they interact with the ground and how they're able to use their muscles to deal with the ground.
Yeah, so I think a good takeaway from that is don't change too much too soon.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when should they be asking questions about how they're striking? Should it not matter? Or, at what point, if you're getting a recurring injury, is that when you should come see Darcy Dorr at Fit Folks?
I do think recurring injury is one of the things. So at times, maybe if a person has, they keep running into issues in the same place in terms of their running, that can be a sign that we can have a look at the gait. But also when we're doing that, have a look at the tissue capacity. So how strong are we in the calves? How strong are we in the legs? How competent are we in the hips? And then are we making good training decisions? And sometimes the running gait can work into that. It definitely can be a really large factor, but all those other things matter as well.
Cool.
And I think we kind of, I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but
no, rail away or derail away.
We can handle a couple of derails.
Yeah.
So
take the rails.
we mentioned briefly barefoot shoes, and I think something that's really confusing that on those advertisements you see like podiatrist recommends barefoot shoes and this is the best thing for running and stuff, and obviously it's the same with like toothpaste, every dentist recommends whatever, but is there some truth in that? Should we be believing that? What's your opinion on all of that?
Gosh, you just opened up the biggest can of worms.
Yeah.
So what's the opinion on the barefoot shoes generally?
Yeah, well, and why are people recommending them? Is that true?
The barefoot shoes can be really handy when we're having an issue with the space through the front of the foot, or people with very atypical shaped feet that can only fit in those shoes because they're really big. The amount of shoes that are really barefoot shoes nowadays, between the brands that originally came out with them, so I'm thinking Ultra, Topo, they're the sort of the main couple.
No, what about the Vibram, like the actual like freaky toe things?
The Vibrams don't capture very much of the market at the moment, and people have gone away from them for the most part.
They're not getting laid.
Yeah, but you slide in someone's Strava DMs with a picture of you in Vibrams, you're not getting any responses.
The Ultras and the Topos, they now do have like a moderate amount of midfoot stack, because that just seem to be appealing to a broader range of people and probably creating less issues because it's hard for people to go from not go from 0 to 100. So they've now got either a bit more density to the foam and a bit more rocker, even if the stack is quite low, which is sort of what we were saying before, that those other features do influence how the shoe interacts with the body as opposed to just the drop.
Yeah.
But I definitely do use those shoes sometimes clinically, particularly with somebody who needs more space through the forefoot. That's probably the biggest.
So it would have to be go get checked out and go get a professional opinion, and then don't
go to your local store
yourself.
and buy a pair of Vibram 5 fingers,
because you look stupid.
There's social issues, fashion issues, issues.
What I would suggest is that if a person is struggling with a 2E and a 4E fit all the time, with fitting it in, maybe
join the circus, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Join the circus. Or
if you've got Ian Thorpe feet, just don't wear shoes.
Potentially
or just put tie plastic bags around your feet and get some pillows. That's all.
So we're thinking a Topo Atmo could be good for some people, or an Ultra Olympus.
Okay.
Those couple of shoes could be okay.
Take care. Listen, Ian Thorpe, that's what you can wear. Speaking of making correct training choices, I think that's a good time to move into Wellness Corner, where we answer questions we hear around run groups in the clinic and our best to provide practical, science-backed takeaways to keep you on your feet. Today, we're going to chat about something that comes up a lot in run clubs, groups, online forums, Insta DMs. How does running programming change for men and women? You know, you've got a very fit male and a very fit female.
You hesitated there.
I didn't know how to describe. Anyway, you've got a male and a female, and can you just go out and run the same program. Is that going to work?
Men and women's bodies are quite different.
Mm.
Do you want to play a game?
Let's play a game.
Okay. So, true or false?
I've seen a movie like this before. It doesn't end well.
True or false?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes anyway.
Yeah. Any small trikes around? Anyway, go.
Women burn more fat than men at the same running intensity.
True.
Oh. True?
That is true. So it's likely linked to greater reliance on fat metabolism, higher fatigue resistance in the slow twitch muscle fibers. So women do burn more fat than men at the same running intensity.
So it's easier for women to get skinny.
No, because I think we also need more fat in our diets, I believe.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. BMI. Yes, I've read about that.
Yeah, and then obviously our body fats are higher anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
The menstrual cycle affects performance the same way for all women. True or false?
Say false.
Definitely not. Yeah, false.
False.
Yeah.
So Zoe was going to take us through
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
the
talk about
different
your
parts of the
menstrual cycle, Zoe.
affects.
Oh, God. To educate you boys.
What happens is once a month, Aunt Flo comes to visit.
So, I think this is actually a really interesting topic because I do see a lot on my Instagram about people suggesting whether you should train the same or train differently over different parts of your cycle. And I think the main thing to note is that every woman's cycle is different and every woman's period is different. Some people do notice changes in their body and their mood, mental, physical performance. And some don't. So I think it's very personal and I wouldn't want to advise anyone a certain way. Train how you feel you should train. But I think the main thing to note is that fluctuations in estrogen and progesterone can really influence your temperature regulation, also your ligament laxity. So your ligaments will actually change how they feel. And perceived effort, of course, can also change. But estrogen also can actually reduce muscle damage. So actually women are less susceptible to muscle breakdown, which means our recovery can be better than some males, which is really interesting, which is why there's some thoughts around, women really thriving in ultra sports and ultra endurance. I think it was really interesting as well. Like recently I've seen a big recent test go everywhere across Instagram. Everyone was sharing it, and it actually showed that there's no decrease in strength during your period, and people were sharing it around with the kind of point of view that okay, this means that we don't need to change how we train on our cycle. And actually I'd really like to kind of argue against that. I think my take is that tells us that your muscles can still perform at the same level. But that doesn't really change how you feel, and perceived effort and mental performance should be taken just as seriously as physical performance. Yeah. And I think that's quite easy blanket statement to make for maybe like strength training. But I think especially for endurance, we really need to take it with a grain of salt. Like your physical performance is just as important as your mental performance, is just as important as your physical performance. And if you don't feel good, you need to adapt your training as a result. Like there's so many factors. And yeah, just because your muscles can perform the same doesn't mean that it's just going to be as easy.
No, because it's the same with guys. Like we wake up some days and just, we're no weaker, but like we just can't hit our same lifts 100%. In the gym. So yeah, you just need to go off how you feel.
Listening to the body being very important there.
Yes, yeah.
How do you go with that, Darcy? You do well.
Listening to my body. I think okay.
Yeah.
I think okay.
I think we're all like, everyone, I guess, who likes to train is a bit struggles with that. I think sometimes at certain points, like I know people who are injured injured quite frequently, and they really struggle to take their own advice, but we're quick to dish it out to everyone else to listen to your body. Yeah. I think we're all kind of easy to fall into that trap. But it's always, I think, something that we need to work on as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on how kind of women will be affected during their cycle.
My understanding with the ligament laxity, because ACL injury, obviously more in field sports, a really big problem, where there, I guess, a lot of factors that the research tries to relate to it, whether it is having a wider hip angle.
Q angle, isn't it? Yes.
Q angle, a big one. Maybe slightly weaker in some of the key hamstring muscles relative to other muscles. And they're really scratching their heads with more research going into women's injury risk at the moment. The research is really trying hard to figure this out, and sometimes you get something that conflicts with the other research.
Yes.
So it's really up in the air at the moment.
And I think the reason why we're so early on in this discussion, I guess, really is because actually a lot of the studies that we have on endurance athletes and sport is actually done on all males.
Yeah.
So we're looking
Makes
at it
sense.
as a blanket statement for females as well, and it hasn't even been looked at. And it's so crazy that we're so early on in this research. So really interesting points.
Last true or false, women are more likely to win ultras under 50 kilometres.
Do you mean the same race against a man?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So under 50 kilometres.
Under 50, I'd say
I'd say
false.
that they're better at over 50 kilometres.
Yeah.
So we're going false?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is false, but research says that women do have advantages in really extreme ultra distances. So I actually love this one so much. So women tend to show better pacing strategies in ultra endurance events. So basically
They're just
men
smarter.
are stupid.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Must run fast.
Go out hot.
Similar to before, greater reliance on fat metabolism, which is obviously more related to ultra endurance events, and higher fatigue resistance in the slow twitch muscles, fibers, and just not being stupid and pacing discipline. So my favourite one with this is Courtney Dauwalter just dominating mixed fields in like 200 plus mile races. So the videos of her doing this are so great, where she's just crushing it. She just keeps going, doesn't stop. She won the Moab 240 in 2017, basically crushing the men's field there, winning 10 hours ahead of the next male. So I thought
10
that was
hours.
10 hours. She did a big backyard ultra in 2023 and ran 456 miles over 6 days, breaking the all-time record, men and women.
It's incredible,
What a
isn't
unit.
it?
I'm just shocked by how incredible that is.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to note is that the other thing that comes into discussion is that women potentially have higher pain tolerance. Obviously, being mothers,
What do you
etc., could be
I have
the case.
witnessed that. I can attest
So that's
to that.
another point that I think comes under that discussion. But it's really interesting, and I've definitely seen a lot about women in swimming as well, potentially in especially ultra swimming, just absolutely dominating the field. So incredible. It's interesting to see though. It does seem like the gap between men and women's times are like starting to close in.
Yeah,
They definitely are.
So it's exciting to see, and I guess that comes with, as we've talked about, the research expanding to women, and like the more we understand how their bodies work, and how, I'm saying their bodies, but how women's bodies work, and how everything comes together. I think we will see some incredible stuff over the next few years.
It's exciting to see.
Thanks everybody for listening and watching Chapter Athletics episode today, where we chatted about running headlines related to the marathons in Southeast Queensland. We broke myths related to barefoot running and heel striking, and talked about how women's bodies differ from men's bodies. So if you guys had any questions, if you had any feedback for us, anything that you want to see, anything that you want to hear about, anything that you don't want to hear about, please let us know in the comments. We are happy to take that feedback on.
Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.